Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Moa aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today I'm here with 3 whiskies from the Darkness series. So the Darkness is a series by the Atom team, so the guys behind Master Malt, for example. So if you are curious in these, you would find them at Master Malt. And they are a series of whiskies where they've taken single malts, I think, primarily, and finish them in octave casks. So octave casks I think are around 64 litres, so they're a lot smaller than, for example, your sherry bot, which is 500 litres, meaning that you get a lot of oak contact quite quickly. No, that's not what I was trying to say. You get a lot of oak contact to the volume that's in the cask, which means that you can get a lot of flavours quite quickly. But you also have to be careful so you don't over mature your whiskey, of course. So the one I'm going to try first is their kind of core release. It's called the Darkness 8-year-old. So when they use this octave cask to finish the whiskey, they use it for at least 3 months finishing time. But I believe this core range has been at least 6 months. So it's somewhere around a few months, usually gives it a little bit of an extra kick of flavour. So this one sits at 47.8% ABV. Then we are going to try a Benriach, which is 7-year-old from an Oloroso cask finish, and it sits at 56.8% ABV. And finally, we have an Irish single malt that has been finished in Oloroso cask and is 14 years old, and it sits at 57.6% ABV. I was going to say something else about this. Oh yes, Undisclosed Distillery, but I've heard little birds whisper. I mean, I've heard the birds whisper, the guys who make this whiskey, Dr. Sam Simmons, for example, say that it could be from a distillery that has quite a meaty style, could use worm tubs, and they might distill some of their spirits between 2 to 3 times. What could that be? So yes, that's what that is. But we are going to have a look at that, and that retails at £50. I think the Benriach does as well, but the Benriach and the Irish whiskey won't be released until the 28th of April, if I remember my dates correctly. And the Irish whiskey, I think, is limited to like 220 bottles, and that is, I think, £100. But yes, let's have a look at the 8-year-old. I have tried this before, and from memory really nice, and I did have a little sip of them the other day when we did the tasting, but really looking forward to kind of delving, like, what's it called, diving deeper into them. There's definitely sherry on the nose straight away. Kind of like red wine gums. Quite fruity. And maybe a little bit of leather. So let's have a little taste. Sláinte. I actually don't know if I specified, but this is a Scotch whiskey. In case no one got the clues earlier. I mean, I do think this is a lovely whiskey. It's fresh, but sherried, and it's a lovely sherry flavour to it. It's spicy, it's woody, it's sweet. It's such... oh, that was gonna rhyme. It's spicy, it's woody, it's sweet. It's such a whiskey treat. My brain just can't function today. But it's such a lovely balance of those things, because it is powerful, and it is, you get the little bit of an extra heat from the ABV, which is 47.8. When I want something sherried, this is kind of what I want. I just want a nice balance, something quite powerful, or generally anyways. Yeah, I think that's really nice. And the interesting thing is gonna be comparing him to the other two. So next up, let's compare it to the Benriach. And this is in one of my heavier glasses. I think there's a production fault, or if it's another manufacturer perhaps. But we'll compare them on the nose. The 8-year-old has more of a wine gum note. And the Benriach is more tropical meets marzipan. It just feels sweeter in a way. Still a big kick of flavor. The Benriach feels drier. But it could be the ABV. Where is my water? I mean, the finish on the Benriach is really, really lovely. I think it's a little bit too hot for me today on the palate. But the finish is like... That's what I like. It's like... Oh, what is it like? Like single cask. Like the essence of single cask and then like some roasted marzipan, perhaps. Then we will add a little bit of water. Let's have a look. Really sounds like a pear notes in it. And peaches. Like Haribo peach sweets. A little bit of water really brings down the dry sensation of it. That for me benefits with a little bit of water. The first sip was a bit like when you step out of an airplane in a really hot climate country and it just kind of hits you in the face. And this is a little bit more like sitting in the shade getting served a nice drink. Still has a drying note to it. The woodiness feels bigger. And the finish is almost the highlight of that dram. Even though the flavour is nice, it just, when it kind of transforms on the finish, gets rid of a little bit of the drying sensation and just lingers with this kind of memory of it. It's really, really nice. I would probably say that the 8-year-old suits more occasions for me. Probably choose that one, but I think the Benriach is more of a treat yourself whiskey, if that makes sense. It's more like a, oh, what mood am I in tonight? Oh, do you know what? It's the perfect mood for a Benriach, instead of saying I can just go to darkness 8-year-old anytime. But yes, that leaves our Irish whiskey. So let's have a little look. Oh, do I have hiccups? This one's completely different on the nose. It's like grassier. And mustier. Grassy and musty. This one's more leather than the others. Definitely quite hot, so let's add a little bit of water. Because I can't get much besides the burn. Like nuttier, like sweet hazelnuts. Like brown sugar a little bit as well. This one's quite murky, quite woody. The 8-year-old has more of a sherry character, like an essence. The Irish transforms into something that is quite different. Let's see what a little bit more water does. Very interesting to see an Irish whiskey that has a lot more of that kind of sherry influence. But somehow, I don't think that one's for me. It just feels like the spirit of it is slightly thinner, and then the cask influence is taking over a little bit for my personal taste, where I feel like the Benriach character of this kind of fruity notes, spirit character, with the sherry notes they're both quite robust, so they kind of meet in the middle and just collide and make something new that is lovely. But the balance between the Irish character and the sherry cask just feels slightly odd. Maybe it's just today. I think if you like a really woody whiskey, you'd probably enjoy that. It has a touch of sweetness in it, but it's the kind of woody, drying, slightly like cinnamon or cloves, probably more. Cloves would almost a touch of a sweetness to it that it has, the Irish, for me. Let's just have a quick little sip of the Benriach. The Benriach feels like probably the most fruity of the three. And after trying the other two, the 8-year-old is so smooth. But saying that it sits at 47.8, is that what I said? Yeah. I think the 8-year-old is totally drinkable at its strength. The other two I would add water to probably most of the time. If I had to choose one, I'd choose the 8-year-old. I think it's brilliantly blended whiskey. It's definitely one that suits my tastes. I'd love to hear what you like. Do you like any of these kind of limited releases? Or do you like the core range if you tried the darkness? Or do you try any of their others? I've seen, where I saw online, that if you have £1 to spare, you can buy a 24-year-old Ardbeg that's been finished in these octave casks, which sounds interesting, but yeah, no, not gonna happen. But they also have, of course, other limited releases if you are curious about a sherry style, these kind of octave casks. So yeah, check those out. And of course, if you like this video and would like to support the channel, I'd be absolutely over the moon if you would consider using my affiliate links the next time you're shopping with either Master Malt, the Whisky Exchange, or the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. All those links and the links to my other social channels, if you are curious about those, you'll find in the description here below. And as always, I want to say a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. I'm so grateful to have you guys with me on my whiskey journey. But I hope you've all had an absolutely wonderful day. Sláinte Skål!